Evening, Cheyenne. Cheyenne, will you be okay with giving us our invocation and pledge?
Sure. Yes. So I want to give like a quote or something that will
Okay.
help. Let me look up this one real quick.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. And I love you in the baseball cap. I've never seen it before. It's so cute.
It's the hair. It's a rough today. Okay, so I know I've said this one before, but I really love this quote, and I work with the public, so I actually think about this quote often. And it's by Mother Teresa, and she said, "Let no one ever come to you without leaving better and happier. Be the living expression of kindness in your face, in your eyes, and in your smile." So I always try to think like, can someone encounter me and leave feeling better than they were before? So I just think about that a lot, especially since I work with the public. So that is it. Just food for thought. You don't have to apply it to your life. It's the holiday season, so it might be good too. People are going to be more aggressive around this season, and maybe it can just be like a little joy in a frantic time. So with that, I'll start the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Cheyenne, that is so funny that you would say that. I just chose someone the other day. My goal when I encounter someone is to add to their life and never subtract. So if I can't see where I can be an addition to your life, then maybe I'll just try to step aside. So that's kind of similar to your quote. And I did not know Mother Teresa said that. So awesome. And thank you. I think it's an awesome way to live. Maurice has joined us. Woohoo. So Maurice, can you confirm that you will accept the role as Table Topics Master? If you're not quite ready, David said he wouldn't mind doing that. And you're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see, I guess. Let me see. Yeah, don't know where my table topics are.
Okay. David, would you be okay with it?
Yeah, either way is fine with me. I don't mind doing it if need be.
Okay.
But if you'd like to, that's fine.
All right. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where my table topics list is. So.
Okay. All right. Well, David, thank you for taking that role. Without any further ado, I would like to call on those that have roles tonight and have you explain your role for the rest of the members this evening. So to our Toastmasters and our guests, again, welcome to our club this evening on November 22nd. And I am Olivia, and I will be your Toastmaster for this evening. I would like to call on my first role, and that would be the role of timer. David, you're the timer. If you could explain to us your role, please.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm David, and I am your timer for this evening. So as timer, I will be timing all of the things that need to be timed, which will be the speeches, the evaluations of the speeches, and the table topics. I think that covers the 3 categories. And for the speech, let me ask, is this going to be a 5 to 7 minute? Okay, 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, I'll put up a green Frisbee. And at 6 minutes, halfway through, I'll put up a yellow Frisbee. And at 7 minutes, I'll put up a red Frisbee. And if you go too much farther than that, I'll start just beating the laptop with the Frisbee, and you'll know that it's getting really late. And I'll do the same for the table topics, but it'll be 1 minute, 1 minute and a half, and 2 minutes. And for the evaluation, it'll be 2 minutes for the green, 2.5 for yellow, and 3 for red. if I remember correctly. And that will be my role for this evening. And it's important to time things because people have a tendency sometimes to talk too long or not long enough. So it's a good idea to have a reference for how long we're talking. And that's the purpose of timer. Thank you. Back to you, Miss Table Topics Master. I mean, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. And I always get stoked when I see you getting ready to threaten somebody with that red frisbee. So that's always good for me. I would like to hear from our, let's see, grammarian and the word of the day, Kyler. Could you talk to us about your role tonight, please?
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. My job for this evening will be to be the grammarian, and my role will be to listen for abuses of the English language, anything that doesn't sound correct or anything that is grammatically incorrect. This crowd tends to do a pretty good job with that sort of thing, but it's good to still have the grammarian around just to make sure, because if we didn't have someone, kind of keeping tabs on us, we might let it slide. So that's what I'll be doing. The word of the day is stoked, which means to be excited or to be, looking forward to something. Used in a sentence, I'm super stoked about next week. I'm super stoked about the turkey at Thanksgiving. It kind of makes me think of something like a surfer dude would say, like, bro, I'm so stoked about this. You know what I mean? I think it kind of maybe started off as like a slang sort of term, maybe. But then over time, it's become a part of our regular vocabulary. So I'll be keeping track of that. So far, Olivia has used it, and I'll be listening for anyone else who wants to use it the rest of the meeting. So with that, back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Now we will get an opportunity to hear from Buck Norrit. He is going to be our general evaluator for this evening. Buck, could you tell us a little bit about your role, please?
Thank you very much. My role tonight as the general evaluator is to look at the meeting overall. How did we do? How did my team of evaluators and my team, timer and grammarian, how did we all do as a group? Did we start on time? Did we flow the meeting well? How was the meeting itself? And everything in more of a general view. So at the end of this meeting, that's what I hope to do, is bring some positive attributes that I found in our meeting today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Buck. And Carrie, could you tell us a little bit about your role tonight as the counter?
Good evening, everyone. I am your counter tonight. My role is to note any overused words or filler words such as, something like this. And I'm going to count how many you use it, and I'm going to report later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And lastly, our table topics master, David.
Good evening again. This evening, I will also be your table topics master, in which I will ask a question and you will have 1 to 2 minutes, preferably between 1 and 2 minutes, to respond. And the idea of table topics is that allows us to work on our impromptu responses. Say you're at work and your boss asks your opinion on something, you can give a response off the top of your head. So it's a great way to practice, and also just to practice speaking. I find no matter what the question is, I remember President Ronald Reagan once said, when a reporter asked him a question, he said, don't answer the question that they ask you, answer the question you wish they asked you. So I think no matter what the question is, we can always turn it into something more meaningful to us, and that's fine. So that's my job as table topics master. Thank you, and back to you, Miss Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, and I really like that quote. I think that's a good idea. Okay, we are going to move in this evening. We do have a prepared speech, and it's going to be brought to us by Buck Norris. The title of his speech is Stage Coach Leadership. Am I correct? Okay, without any further ado, hear ye him.
Hi-oh Silver. Do any of y'all remember that? Do you remember Hey Pancho? Hey Cisco? I grew up watching Westerns. And as a kid, I would go to my grandpa's house and I would lay on the floor and on my stomach and just watch Westerns on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. And all these Westerns that I watched, they were fun. And everybody wanted to be the Lone Ranger or the Cisco Kid. Everybody wanted to be the hero that saved the day. One of the things I've noticed as I've gotten older is how much those Westerns taught me lessons. And some of those lessons I didn't realize it was teaching. And this lesson I'm sure all of you will get is the stagecoach. Do you remember the stagecoach? Do you remember the guy running the stagecoach? As I've gotten older, I realized as cool as the Lone Ranger was, the stagecoach driver was a leader. And how, you might ask, is that person the leader? Well, you know, the Lone Ranger was the Lone Ranger. He had a sidekick and that was it. Cisco Kid had Poncho and that's it. But the stagecoach, the driver of the stagecoach had a whole team. And that's what we need to look at as a leader in general, is how the stagecoach driver took care of his team. Yes, it was a team of horses. But a stagecoach could have anywhere between 2 and 6 horses. And having 6 horses together and having them work together is a lot harder than it may sound. You see, first, you have to put your horses in the right place. The bigger horses are called wheelers. These horses are closest to the stagecoach. And these horses are the biggest and the strongest. The next horses in the middle are called the swing horses. These are usually younger horses, and they're smaller but more agile horses. They're sure-footed and they can move back and forth, and they can be in front of the wheeler horses, but before you get to the lead horses. The lead horses are the 2 horses in the front. And these 2 horses lead the other horses. They guide. They're very sure-footed. They know what they're going. They follow directions well. And the stagecoach driver, he has to guide these horses. But he also has to let these horses do their job. He's got to let the wheelers be strong and pull. He's got to let the swing horses be agile and create a momentum. He's got to let the lead horses lead. And the stagecoach driver has reins, and he holds onto those reins, and he doesn't hold tight. He kind of holds them loosely. He doesn't hold them so tight that he stops the horses from running. But he doesn't let go of the reins either. He doesn't hold them so loosely that the horses go every which way. And as the driver of the stagecoach, that's his job, is to keep the horses going in the right direction and lead them when they want to turn, lead them in the direction, but also give them enough rein so that they can run, but hold them back when they could be going out of control. And as leaders, we have to do the same thing with our teams. Our teams, we have to put the right people in the right positions, because if you don't have that person in the right position, they're really not going to do their best job. A leader has to give them reins. He's got to let them do things and explore. He can't hold them back from accomplishing things. But a leader also has to rein them in when they might be going astray. It's the same with the stagecoach. You've got to give them the reins and let them run, but not let them run too wild. And lastly, the leader has to guide his team, just like a stagecoach. He can't yank on the reins. He can't force the horses. He's got to guide them in the direction he needs them to go. We as leaders really can learn a lot from these old Westerns that were black and white. And if you look at the stagecoach driver, somebody who I'm sure most of us didn't think about at the time, but now looking back, that's a real leader. He's got a team. He has the right people in the right positions. He gives them enough rein that they can run. He pulls them back when they might be going astray, and he guides them. He leads them in the right direction he needs them to go. These are the lessons as a leader we all need to learn as well. Next time you're a part of a team, next time get a group of people and you're looking at them, think about the stagecoach driver. Did you put the right people in the right spot? Did you let them accomplish and learn and do things? Did you hold them back when they were going astray? And did you lead them in the right direction? Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, Buck, that was an awesome speech and a great illustration. I was imagining it as you were telling it. So, and I'm not a big Western fan. My father used to watch Westerns, and I used to get so upset because I was like, I just want to sit with my daddy, but I don't want to look at this on TV. So, but yes, as a child, I didn't care for them, but the way you made the analogy, it was very well. So thank you very much for your speech. And we will move in. We don't have any more speeches, so we're going to move into our table topics portion of the meeting, and that will be handled by Mr. David. David, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Olivia. And welcome again, everyone. This is the table topics portion of our meeting, as Olivia just stated. And Donovan is not here this evening, but he had texted us some ideas for some table topics questions because Donovan loves table topics. I think he's with his family, though, for Thanksgiving holidays already. So I will ask a couple of the questions that Donovan had sent, and then I'll also can add a few of my own. So we will start. I'll ask a question and see if we have any volunteers. I kind of like this first question. It is, do you enjoy jumping in a pile of leaves, or did you enjoy that while you were an adult or as a child? And what was so fun about doing that, jumping in a pile of leaves? Okay, I think Kyler, which I would guess Kyler would enjoy jumping in a pile of leaves, has raised his hand. So to you, Kyler.
Thanks, David. As a kid, I did really enjoy jumping in a pile of leaves. As an adult, I don't do it as often as I used to, only because I kind of hit the ground a little harder than I did when I was a kid. So tend to feel a little sore after a day of jumping in leaves as an adult. But as a kid, I think I loved jumping in leaves so much because we used to have these really big oak trees. We could get piles of leaves that were just, absurdly huge, or at least to a kid, they seemed that way. And you could jump into a pile of leaves and then hide out in that pile of leaves until an unsuspecting victim came by, and you could immediately jump out and strike fear into the heart of anyone who just happened to go by, and or at least surprise them at the very least. So my brother and I used to really enjoy doing that. I think one time, and I know this was like done on purpose, but I remember one time my dad being like, "Hey, if you rake up the leaves, there'll be a pile you can jump into." As an adult, I know exactly what he was doing, but as a little kid, that seemed like a fantastic idea. So the whole yard ended up getting raked up. So there was a big pile of leaves for us to jump into. But as a kid, anything you could jump on or crawl in, I was interested. And the leaves were a perfect combination of those two things. So back to you, David.
Thank you, Kyler. The thing I remember when I was a child, I've never really jumped into leaves as an adult, at least not since I quit drinking. But as a child, I remember just the unknown, jumping in a huge pile of leaves, and I just don't know if I'm going to hit something, or it was just so cool. So for our next question, Donovan has, we'll try this one. What is your favorite fall sweater color and that you like to wear, and why? Olivia has her hand raised. To you, Olivia.
Good evening, everyone. What is my favorite fall sweater color and why? Well, for years, I have always been into dark colors. And in the wintertime, I love a black sweater or a dark brown chocolate, mocha chocolate color maybe. But in the last few years, I have gotten away from that. So for me, my new favorite sweater color is winter white, eggshell, cream colored, off-white, beige, whichever one you prefer. And because I think it gives you a little glimpse of some sunshine in the midst of these small, short days. And also it reminds you of a winter white, like maybe some driven snow or something. But for me, I just like the bright colors, no matter what time of year it is. I'm no longer into those dull, drabby colors. They seem to be quite depressing at times. So whenever I can put a little pop of color into my life, I always do. I actually have a cream colored sweater that I didn't get a chance to wear last year. So I'm looking forward to it getting cool enough to wear it sometime soon. That is my answer. And back to you, David, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Olivia. Myself, I'm not really a sweater person, and I'm not much of a fashion person either, but those are some interesting answers. Also, I'm a pretty messy person, so if I wear something light colored, I tend to stain it pretty quickly.
Yeah, me too. Used to be. I'm getting better at it.
Very good. Okay, let me ask another question. This one I'll switch to some of mine from my cards I have here. This question is, who is a particular person who changed the way you see the world? A particular person. Okay, we have Cheyenne's hand raised. To you, Cheyenne.
I'm the one.
No, I'm sorry. Hello, everyone. I've been asked, who is a particular person that changed the way that I see the world? And I will have to answer. There are many people. I think a lot of people that we come in contact with impact us and change us in little ways that we may not even realize until later. And then you look back and you're like, oh, for the better or worse, I learned something and came out of that relationship or interaction different. But for me, the person that changed the way I see the world was my grandfather, because he was such an awesome person. He was in the FBI for over 40 years. He was 80 and still four-wheeling around, and like he was not one of those older people that stopped. Like he just kept going. He had more energy and motivation to keep going than I do. Like he was a get up, start rising and grinding kind of person, even in his older age. And I'm not like that, but he gave me that perspective that, one, you're only as old as you think you are for most cases, and two, like you can do whatever you want. While like my other grandparent would maybe be more reserved or more afraid of things, he would say, why not? Like just go for it. So I always knew to ask him if I wanted something, at least ask him first. And then hopefully it didn't get directed to, well, you know, you need to ask your grandmother. I'm like, yeah, but I know your answer. But he was just very adventurous and loved life, and literally he just, you know, said, you know, if it's really what you want, then you should do it. It would just, you would think is like something silly, but like a lot of people don't think that there's like a certain path, a certain things you should do and stick to that, and don't really be stoked to try other things. But he was really encouraging, and that made me just realize, you know, focus on what's important, and then at the end of the day, do what you want to do. So thank you, David, for your question. Back to you.
Get that time down. Thank you, Cheyenne. It's amazing how one single person or sometimes a select group of people can really change our outlook on life. And I've experienced that as well. And that's a great that your grandfather could do that. Let's see. The next question I have.
And I guess him.
Hmm?
I guess him sometimes. I guess.
Well, I'm sure Styler's stoked about that. Okay, my next question is, what do you think people waste too much time worrying about?
Oh, that's a good one.
We still have Carrie, Maurice, and Buck to go. Carrie's got her hand up. Okay, Carrie, to you.
The answer of the question is absolutely about the future. We may think about possibly money, health, and more, especially also relationship, but everything basically about the future. Money, I'm not very rich, but I'm not worried about the future. Means what can I do if I lose all the money in the bank account, or if I lose a house or car, whatever money related. But that's also the future, because right now, luckily, I have some money in the bank account. I have a shelter, warm bed, reliable car, and any material I need, basic materials I need. Also the future, my health, getting older and older and older. I may lose some health, or I may get illness or infectious or COVID-19, or we don't know. But again, we don't know. That means it's about the future. Relationship, I have a beautiful friend, but I don't have to worry about if they get sick, or if they move out of me, but also that's about the future. Currently, I have a beautiful friends, nice family in Japan. And so I have right here, Hilltoppers family. They think about the future. People worry about the future too much. Again, future, we haven't reached yet. That we haven't know what to do, what happened in the future. Maybe good, maybe bad. But again, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. We worry about the future too much. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Carrie. And that's a great answer. The future is something we all, well, maybe not all, but I certainly fall into that category. And I have some tools presented to me to help not do that, but it's easy to slip into that way of thinking. Also, another answer to that question, I was thinking, what do I worry about too much? It'd be myself. I worry about me, and by that I mean just worrying about, you know, how I look, and you know, everybody worries about themselves and they don't really worry about me. So I just don't need to do that. Okay, we have another question here. I guess we have time. We can do one more at least. And this one's pretty simple. What did you want to be when you were little, and when you were going to grow up? What did you want to be, and how did that work out? Maurice has his hand up.
Yes, fellow Toastmasters and fellow Toastmasters, the question that's been posed: when I was younger, much younger, what did I want to be when I grew up? there were several things that I thought I wanted to be when I grew up. And one is kind of silly. I know when I was really little, maybe 5 or 6 years old, I went to the commissary, which is the grocery store on a military base. And I saw some butchers cut some meat. And for some silly reason, I told my I guess my parents and my sister, I want to be a meat man when I grow up. I mean, I didn't know what at the time. I guess I didn't know the term butcher. I just said I want to be a meat man, and no particular reason. I really had no real ambition to be a butcher, but I just saw a person cutting meat, and I said I want to be a meat man. But I guess within the past few years, I saw Peyton Manning, the former quarterback, on a commercial, and he was trying to be other occupations. And he was at a restaurant. I guess he was at a restaurant making coffee or whatever. It said decaf, decaf, or cheering the people making the coffee, decaf, decaf. And then he was cheering the butchers, cut that meat, cut that meat. But another thing, another occupation that I dreamt of being was different types of sports. I imagined myself playing baseball. That was going to be the new home run king. But realistically, I guess I really wasn't that good at baseball. So, but I was more stoked about that than being a butcher. So those are two of the things that when I was little, I talked about being when I became an adult. Back to you, Topics Master.
Thank you, Maurice. Let me get that time down. That's a great answer. I think as we grow up and as time goes on, our ideas change. I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian, which I think almost all children at some point want to be a veterinarian. And then I wanted to be an astronomer, but found out that was kind of hard. So I ended up being a civil engineer. But that was a good career. And do we, it's 7:26. I guess we need to move on.
7:26.
So I want to thank everyone for participating in Table Topics. We've all participated this evening. I mean, Buck gave his speech and we all each did a table topic. So that's great. Thank you, and back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, David, for your table topics portion. All those questions were good. I really wanted to answer every single one of them. I was like, oh man, I want to answer that one too. Yes, so very good table topics portion. I can't answer them all because I don't know. Okay, we're going to move into our evaluation portion of the meeting. And this evening, our general evaluator will be Buck Norrit. Buck, all yours.
Thank you very much. The purpose of our evaluations is so that we can learn and get better at making speeches and the things we do. Our evaluator tonight is Olivia. She will be evaluating my speech. So Olivia, if you will, please.
All right, that was quick. Back to me. Buck, your speech title was Stagecoach Leadership. And again, because I don't have a lot of experience with Western movies, although if you had asked me what I wanted to be when I was 6 years old, my answer would have been I wanted to be a cowgirl, and I wanted a white horse named Lightning, until my mom took me to her friend's house and I realized that white horses don't stay white automatically. And I got there and we got the bucket and I was told, okay, you got to clean the horse and be gentle and make sure you make eye contact and don't step. And I was like, this thing is filthy. How would I ever get it back clean? So I changed my career path about wanting to be a cowgirl of a white horse, but I still wanted to be a cowgirl. So, but your speech about stagecoach leadership, you started out with the question which is always very engaging. And it always starts to get, I know at least for me, it gets my mind to thinking, not only about if I truly had to answer this question on the fly, like how we have to do when it's a table topics question, would I be able to answer it? Could I answer it? And then it also makes me want to think, oh, what is next? What are we really about to start talking about? So it's always great to start with the question. Most of us seem to sometimes struggle with the eye contact because the camera doesn't always line up with the individuals that you're looking at, or the expressions or the responses that you want to get from the audience. Yet you seem to be very engaged. Your eye contact was beautiful. I felt like you were not only looking at me, but you kind of scanned around. So maybe your camera placement is perfect. My camera is way above my head. So in order to look directly at you guys, I have to look way above my monitor. So great job there. Your hand gestures, you were sitting in a position where we could see your hands, and the expression was intensified by the way you were using your hand gestures. The use of not one filler word. I think once when you saw David put up one of his Frisbees, I know he threatened to throw it at you at one time. No, he was going to beat his laptop with it. So I think maybe that kind of got you a little, you kind of switched your words up, almost as if you stuttered just a little bit. So don't ever pay attention to the guy holding the Frisbee. He's not going to hurt you. I promise, he's harmless. So if I could think of anything, then maybe you got a little off kilter when you saw the Frisbees go up. I love how you described the stagecoach as being the leader, and how strategically the horses are placed in order to make the team be the most efficient, the most functional, the best that it could be. So overall, I think that your speech was wonderful. You had great use of pauses. Every now and then you took maybe a half of a second of pause as you switched to your next topic or your next thought. You never looked down at a note. That was amazing. I was excited about that. And then you use no filler words. So again, it was a great speech. If I could say maybe something that you could do differently, I would just say try to use a little bit more vocal variety, get a little louder, a little softer, something like that. Other than that, your speech was awesome. I know I'm over my time, so that's it for me. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that awesome evaluation. One of the things we need to do is talk with our timer. So David, will you give us a timer's report?
Sure, Buck. Good evening again, everyone. I was your timer for this evening, so I timed the critical events, and I will go over the times now. We'll start with Buck's prepared speech. It was supposed to be between 5 and 7 minutes, ideally, and it was 6 minutes and 22 seconds. So that was a perfect time, in my opinion. I like to be between 6 and 7. And I do apologize. I forgot to put my green Frisbee up. I remembered when it was halfway through, I did the yellow, and I missed a few other Frisbee throughout the timing. So I apologize for that. In my defense, I'm old. Okay, moving on. I'll just go in the order I have them listed here. For our table topics, for Carrie, I had 1 minute and 44 seconds. For Olivia, I have 1 minute and 15 seconds. For Kyler, I had 1 minute and 36 seconds. For Cheyenne, I had 2 minutes even. And for Maurice, I had 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So those are all pretty good times. Now, it's fine if you go a little bit over or even a little bit under, but we were all in very good doing time-wise there. For the evaluation, for Olivia's evaluation of Buck's speech, I had that at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, which once again is only 30 seconds over. And I think Olivia has some really great feedback. So to me, it's more important to get out what we need to say, even if it goes a little over, rather than to say, oh, I've got to stop now. So I think you did a wonderful job with that. And I really did enjoy Buck's speech as well. I'll just add briefly, I didn't have any clue that stagecoach horses had different orders and different personalities, and you place them in that way. And that is really a great analogy of using that to talk about other things as well, like you did. So thank you. That's the timer's report, and back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that report. As we move on, we need to know how we used our words and our grammar. So our grammarian tonight, Kyler, would you please give us your report?
Sure. So as far as abuse of the English language and the way we use the grammar, I didn't really hear anything that sounded incorrect. We did fantastic on the word of the day, which I'm really happy about because that's something that we tend to struggle with. But for the word of the day, we have Olivia said it twice, which I'm not surprised because Olivia always says the word of the day. She's the best at the word of the day. And then we got Cheyenne, and we got David, and we got Maurice. And that's who I've heard so far that has used the word of the day. The meeting's not over, so if you haven't used it yet, you still have a chance. So I encourage you to do so. And with that, I return the lecture back to Buck.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, we need to know how we did with our filler words. Carrie, would you please give us your report?
Thank you. Good evening again. Mr. Buck, your previous speech was great. I didn't hear any filler word. Olivia, I heard unnecessary word you could avoid, but once and then twice or so. And Tyler, I heard 3 times, so 5 times. You know, once and you could avoid once. And Cheyenne, you could avoid and one and one but and one so. And I heard, you know, twice. Maurice, I don't think I hear anything because I was very stoked about your speech. I didn't really count it very well. Back to Mr. Buck.
Thank you very much. I get to give a general evaluation of how we did tonight, and I thought we did really well. Our meeting started off, we had to get some things straight, but it got rolling pretty quick. Everybody was using the word of the day. We had great evaluation. We had a great table topics. Everybody got to speak, and they were good topics, and they were fun. Also, one of the things that I caught on, and I love the statement, was from Carrie, was words you can avoid. I thought that was a great way, not just filler words, but words you can avoid. And I think that's something I'm going to take on to other places too, because I think that is such a great way to put that. Overall, we're doing great. We're going to finish on time. I think it's been a wonderful meeting, and thank y'all for letting me be the general evaluator.
Very good. Thank you very much, Buck. It is always a pleasure of mine, and I'm sure the rest of us agree, just to have some new energy. We all get along very well. Hilltopper is a very close-knit family, in my opinion, but we are just glad to have you, some new energy, and you feel like you are part of the family as well. So we're glad to have you, and we're glad to be a part of the Foley family. I don't have anything else tonight. I will repeat our club business because I know some of us got on a little bit later, and we won't have a meeting this week. Our next this coming week, which is the Monday following Thanksgiving. After that, we will meet again on December the 6th. I have filled out almost all of the roles for the rest of the year. We do have a couple prepared speeches. If something should go wrong and you can't give your prepared speech, then please go in and make those adjustments in the agenda. Please go accept your roles and know what they are for the next couple of weeks. I would be remiss if I don't mention that I think Foley is going to run the next meeting on December the 6th. So we will be under their leadership, their president, what have you. So some things on the agenda may change. I will get with Crystal and just be sure. So be prepared for it to be ran by them, and we'll just be their attendees or their honored guests. Unless someone else has anything else, that's it for me tonight. Anyone else? Maurice, do you have any
yes, I have a few questions. Buck, what path are you doing?
Strategic relationships.
Okay, strategic relationships. Okay.
And also, Book, would you, I hate to bother you, but would you email me your evaluation? I was having the hardest time with the chat.
I will do that.
Do you have my email address? You should. I think I sent you
Yes.
something. Okay.
Okay. So Buck, so your icebreaker a couple weeks ago will be under strategic relationships.
Mhm.
And is this your evaluation and feedback speech? This
Yes.
coach?
The first one.
Okay. I'll do. Okay. All right. And I wasn't here. I wasn't tuned in last week. So I just need the information to close out last week's meeting.
I think I already closed it. Maybe I did something wrong. I don't know. I was gonna say I thought I closed it. You mean meeting before last, I think. Right?
Well,
Maurice?
that's been closed out.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
last week. Well, I mean, unless you closed it out today, but I know when I tuned in.
Yeah.
Easy Speak, it wasn't closed out.
Okay. All right. Take a look at it again. Make sure I didn't do something cattywampus.
Okay.
I
So
was-
were there
I
any
was
speeches
so
last
sorry.
week?
Last week I did a prepared speech, and I
Okay.
went and picked. I think I picked that was my first time doing it, but I did pick my workbook that I was working from. I put the title of my speech in there. I think I did it right. I'll have to go back and take a look at it, or you look at it and let me know.
Okay. All right.
I don't think we have any awards tonight, and we do not have an education overview. So if that's it, then that's it.
I just have a
Anybody else has anything?
quick question. Will we still be, when Foley's running the meeting, we'll still be using Easy Speak, the same Easy Speak
Mhm.
page to sign up for
Yes.
things? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. To my knowledge, Maurice, do you know anything different?
Oh no, I don't. I mean, you could. I mean, I put Buck and a few of the others in Foley and Crystal
Yes.
on Easy Speak.
I saw that. Thank you.
And I just want
Okay.
to second what Olivia said, that we are glad to have you with us, Buck. It's always good to have new new people to bring in their experience, and you've got a really nice on-screen personality, and so thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Yes, good. Glad you're here. All right, guys, the time is 7:42, so we brought it all the way to the end. I think we did pretty good. And without any further ado, have a fabulous holiday. Don't eat too much of that turkey. And we'll see you on December the 6th.
All right.
Agenda,
All right,
check
good.
the agenda. Make sure you approve your roles, please.
Okay.
Have a
Good
good
night,
night, everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Night.